What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
It makes sense why Testarossa believed she couldn't succeed. I used to feel so confident about this because I believed that I could use Veldora to equal the odds. However, I now realize that I cannot even rely on it. Parallel existence, in Raphael's opinion, is a very dangerous power. It might not seem all that different from Soei's replications to the uninformed. He can manage several replications simultaneously in his situation. No matter how many replications you kill, it's impossible to determine who is the real one, and Soei himself will never suffer as a result. It also felt a bit unfair to me that he could keep producing them as long as he had enough magicules. This is because there is no physical difference between Soei and his replications, making it feel exactly like there are numerous Soeis on the field. But let's go behind the scenes. It can be challenging to manage numerous replications at once. His awareness is not split at all by the skill, rather, he employs thought communication to instantly operate the clones of himself. He also modifies his reaction times with mind accelerate, making it appear as though they are all moving freely and independently. Replications aren't something I use very frequently personally because they're such a difficult trick to do. However, Soei is one of the most considerate individuals I know and a true expert in his field. I could never handle it as effectively as Soei. Additionally, while the replication's physical powers are equal to those of the caster's body, they consistently fall short in terms of magic. The caster's abilities are not entirely available to the copied bodies. Because of this, Soei's replications can only utilize skills that don't require a lot of magic power. If you knew this little secret, it wasn't too difficult to determine which replication is the genuine one. It's obvious that if you lose, your replications also vanish right away, so it's not like there's some kind of secret code or anything. Meanwhile, Velgrind was able to split up portions of her consciousness among each replica thanks to her parallel existence skill. Copy was no longer even the appropriate word, it was more like having different versions of your real self. It implied that even if one of them was killed, she might still use the remaining alternate as her primary one. Additionally, she didn't need to divide her magic force in any way. She could replenish her magic on any alternate of herself because every one of them was connected to the main body. Naturally, the total amount of magic she possesses is limited, so the more bodies she has on hand, the less power each one can use at their full potential. Normally, you'd consider that a weakness to exploit, but this true dragon was renowned for possessing a ton of magicules. Even a small amount of utilization wouldn't matter much because she could refresh her alternates faster than they could deplete their magic reserves. I honestly don't know how to defeat her. Although I am not Testarossa, I can't hold it against her for publicly admitting that she couldn't win. Returning Velgrind's gaze, I smiled as haughtily as I could.
Well, I'm grateful. You see, I've got a really gifted companion, and he's hard to beat when it comes to intelligence. You must believe you have us in a trap, but could you please let us know what it is you want?
Bluffing is about all I have left in circumstances like these. To get them to fear me, I had to give them the impression that I knew exactly what they were planning, but it was obvious that things wouldn't turn out that way.
You seem rather confident, don't you? Your refusal to accept defeat makes me think so much of my brother.
I assume you mean Veldora. He must have felt awful having a sister like this.
Rimuru, do you see now?
I thought I heard him say, but I had to pay attention since Rudra was speaking.
What do I want? I suppose I don't need to tell you if you're so confident in your intelligence.
You know, that's not really helpful. If they desired to annihilate us, they would already be engaged in combat. Instead, if they organized a type of roundtable that indicated there was room for compromise, they may simply be attempting to persuade us to join them, which I believe to be the case in this situation.
Affirmative. This is presumably accurate, but it's equally possible that they're only stalling for time. They might be trying to subdue the subject Veldora Tempest and bring him into their fold if that's the case.
Hey, I think I did very well there. I'm at least somewhat correct. Certainly, under Kondo's plans, Velgrind would take control of Veldora. I didn't give it much thought because I thought it was impossible at this point, but if she had a parallel existence active, was Velgrind about to storm the labyrinth at this very moment if she did? Because it was now an urgent matter, I contacted Veldora via our soul corridor.
Hey, how are things going?
You idiot. Casual greetings are not appropriate right now. It's kind of hectic in here, I guess. I'm being pursued by my sister. She is now outside the labyrinth, but if things continue as they are, she will soon storm inside.
Yep. Sounds quite hectic.
You'll be alright?
I'll have to go outside to get her. That would be preferable to her destroying the labyrinth to get to me.
Whether or not there is a parallel existence, I didn't expect Veldora would lose. I, therefore, made the decision to allow him to use all of his force.
Okay, fine. Just take care of Velgrin for me and I'll take full responsibility for the consequences. Can you accomplish that?
Oh ho? Then let me take care of everything for you, okay?
Great.
With much relief, I ended the call. I won't need to worry about anything if Veldora handles it. Additionally, I now knew what Rudra's strategy was. It's time to go back to the negotiating table.
Right now, your objective is to try to win us over. Additionally, aren't you attempting to buy some time with this meeting so that we won't get in the way of your battle with Veldora?
I made an effort to appear as smug as I could as I laid it on them. Rudra grinned joyously at this.
Ah, you're such a funny person. There isn't time for any more diversions right now, but it would be entertaining to see you spar with Tatsuya. I don't need to go into further detail if you already know it, do I? I'd like you to join us and work under my command. If you do, I'll ensure your independence and bestow the title of Archduke upon you.
Rudra, the nobles will protest if an archduke who is not a blood relative is appointed.
I'm not bothered. It will be worth Ida if he agrees to work with me.
So an archduke instead of just a duke? I believe you should be descended from the emperor, and the title should pass along with you. And Rudra has promised to give it to me. This has to be a first-of-its-kind offer from the empire's perspective. After all this discussion about how they never requested an enemy's surrender, too, and how they always occupied and subjugated the countries they defeated, this empire, which has grown through numerous wars of aggression, was going to offer me the best deal imaginable. In all honesty, they were ranking me far higher than I had anticipated. But, unfortunately, I already had an answer.
Well, I recognize that this is a fantastic offer, but the response is, no. But I have a suggestion for you. Why don't we simply give up and make peace right here? I don't want anything in return, but I would like to form a non-aggression pact with you.
It would be nothing short of suicide for me to give in, especially given how nobody around here seemed to give the sacrifices they expected from those who served them much thought. It would be my one-way ticket to destruction if I fooled myself into believing that I'd be the first exception in the Empire's vast history. I strongly declined Rudra's offer as a result. Furthermore, since I had the opportunity and everything, I made a request of my own to him. Personally, I wasn't going to demand an apology or anything because we hadn't sustained any harm. I'm happy to simply ignore this invasion as long as they promise not to bother us again. Although I'm sure some people would object, I believe that is the best course of action if we can resolve this conflict without spilling any more blood. I am aware that I was being too lenient with them and that I couldn't put much faith in promises. They're going to break the pact eventually if we don't trust each other, but buying time is currently the most crucial thing to do. We could spend more time getting to know each other if we made peace here. I had optimism that with more time to improve our mutual understanding, a time without war may come about. We would be forced to battle till the bitter end if we carried on in this manner, but even if that were the case, I was still willing to gamble on this slim chance. But Rudra responded with a frigid smile.
Ah, I see you aren't really qualified to be a ruler after all. You construct a web of absurdity instead of seeing my mercy for what it is.
So arrogant. Rudra has done everything he could to help you, but you've thrown it all away.
They responded as though they had a clear edge despite having just lost a 1,000,000-man army. Deep down, they don't actually believe they've lost anything. All of the troops and officers that died as a result of his commands were not particularly noteworthy. That actually worried me in some way.
I believe that humans are creatures capable of learning to comprehend one another. That they will eventually unite into a single will and cooperate to build a better world. But to do that, the world must first be united by a show of overwhelming military power.
The ideals Rudra expressed may appear similar to those I frequently discuss, but there was a significant distance between us that would be challenging to bridge. It was quite annoying. I now had all the evidence I needed to conclude that, despite the fact that we both began at the same point, he came to the exact opposite conclusion. I briefly considered whether he was even more idealistic than I was. He wasn't, though. He asserts that true justice can only be achieved via his own righteousness. He is a dictatorial thinker who rejects all other viewpoints. It's unlikely that we'd ever get along, as I had anticipated. And if our disagreements were this acrimonious, it would probably be difficult to reach a consensus through dialogue.
You know, humans are free-willed creatures. In this world, there is no such thing as absolute justice because there are so many different perspectives that might be held. Do you not believe that denying this will just sow more seeds of conflict?
What a fool you are. My perspective is absolutely, positively just. You know you'll never achieve that perfect world of yours if you continue to pander to the avaricious whims of the stupid masses.
But don't people make mistakes sometimes?
I cannot dispute that. I certainly pay attention to what my most trusted advisors have to say. However, I am unable to hear all of the voices of those below me. We would be in perpetual disarray if I did that.
He might be correct in that regard, I guess. I have a feeling that I'll soon be losing the verbal debate as well. As much as I disliked to acknowledge it, Rudra was a much more experienced ruler than I was.
Well, I don't see the sense in continuing the discussion. We seek your allegiance to us. Demon Lord Rimuru, give up your friendship with Ki and join us.
There is that offer once more. Undoubtedly attempting to put Gi under strain, I was certain the balance would tip if I chose to cave to Rudra. That, I think, explains how humans have survived up to this point. My response was nonetheless the same as before. It appeared that a fight was imminent now that negotiations had failed. Velgrind gave me 2 gentle wags of her index finger while smiling icily as if she had read my thoughts. Then, similar to my Eye of God, a video image appeared in empty space. It displayed the current battlefield situation. There, I witnessed horrible things. In front of Velgrind, Testarossa, Ultima, and Carrera had all crashed. One person had just beaten the 3 demonesses, the best combat force our country had ever seen. I whispered to myself, no way. I could see the 3 of them getting back to their feet on the video. The ability gap was too much for them to overcome, yet they were still fighting with all their might. It was obvious that they couldn't hold out for much longer.
Do you see what your devoted primals do for me? I'd advise you to give it some thought. Someone as intelligent as you ought to comprehend why I'm still being kind to them.
She didn't have to elaborate. This posed a danger. Velgrind could easily harm more people if she chose to, in addition to these 3. I'm not sure what's driving them, but Rudra's team has done everything they could to accommodate me. I could now see that Gabble's men were in no position to aid the 3 demons. Above the fight, a swarm of Imperial soldiers descended from airships that were all over the sky. The soldiers of Kondo were also present. With the exception of Kigali, who was still engaged in the ritual, Yuki's old allies were engaged in combat with the Dwarven army alongside them.
Tier, and footmen.
I became aware of those masked annoyances engaged in combat on the side of the adversary after hearing Laplace's shout. The situation was chaotic, and it didn't look good for my side. We were at our lowest point. Benimaru was worried about me, and I could sense it. I simply couldn't give in, though.
Hey anime fans! We're thrilled to announce that the first episode of Solo Leveling is now available on Anime Fan Narrations. Dive into the epic journey of Jinwoo Sung and experience the action-packed world of hunters and monsters. Click the link in the description box below to watch it now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more amazing content. Enjoy the adventure.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Byakuya327, Ankit Kumar, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Jordan Mersha, Jay Magsino, Recrel17, Bismarck Munoz, Arian Booker. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.